Hello, and this is another episode of the Zooming Hoosk Podcast, and I'm your host, Dustin DaHusky.
And I'm Kurdan, Sourpuss.
We have now entered the month of November, and you know what that means? That's right, No Nut November. Are you going to participate in No Nut November?
No.
Me neither.
It can't be done. I have so many people that I follow and that follow me that use cages.
No.
Can't. I won't.
Oh, why not?
I get hard in it still. I'm like, well then. But then you just can't fap it because it's in a cage.
Yeah.
I have no self-control. I suppose that's the whole point of
No Nut November is self-control. For
and
those that
wearing
actually have self-control.
And wearing a cage is to teach yourself
Self-control?
But I have none.
I don't have any either.
So.
Like legitimately, I do not care. I just will do it anyway.
Yep. I've been almost late for work several times because of it.
Oh, I know what you mean, where you have the morning fap, and you know what? Yeah, the morning fap. Or sometimes you fap at night, you fap in the morning, and then you fap when you get back from work. So you know what? That's 3 faps.
3 faps.
That's 3 faps in one day.
When I have a day off,
3 faps per hour.
non-stop fapping. Sometimes I don't stop.
Sometimes you just keep on going, like, okay, come on, don't give up on me now.
I'll give myself like a half an hour break and then right back at it.
And then at the end of No Nut November, you have just a stump.
I have actually yelled at my dick.
So you do that too, huh?
I've been, oh, come on. We just did this.
Yeah.
And here you are, again. God. Mind of his own, I swear.
Oh, yeah. It's, I like to think the werehoosk is in control of mine, because I think the only time when I'm not werehoosk, it's the only department that he still has control over when I'm normal hoosk.
Yep.
It's like, horny, okay. It's like, no, not now. Horny anyway. I'm like, oh, okay.
There's a few times where I wore cotton-based boxer briefs to work.
Yeah.
Which is uncommon for me because most of my underwear is either Under Armour or something Under Armour adjacent. So
stretchable fabric.
Stretchable, but it does not just stretchable. It does the whole wicking thing. You know, just where it takes care of the sweat when we're in fursuit.
Yep.
It takes care of the pre-cum.
Yep.
Because I leak like a sieve.
Yep, same.
And when I wear the cotton-based boxer briefs...
It's an amazing curse.
It is an amazing curse. Somebody actually asked me if I should... Actually told me I should see a doctor because of it. I think I may have mentioned that before, but yeah, I don't know what I was doing. I was on break. I was on lunch at work. And I happened to look at my AD Twitter, which... It's a dangerous thing. I shouldn't do that while I'm at work.
I do it all the time.
Regular Twitter, fine. YouTube, fine, as long as it's not wrestling videos. But I looked at my AD, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh crap, I'm leaking.
Oh crap, I am tenting my pants, and I have to clock back into work.
Luckily, I'm still sitting at a table. But I actually leaked so much that it beaded through my jeans.
Yep.
It was a bead through my jeans.
That's, again, it's a beautiful curse, because you know that, oh, good, I can self-lube into someone. Oh, great.
Luckily, we've got hand sanitizer all over the store. So I just grabbed some of that, rubbed it right on the spot.
To have the wet spot go away.
Yeah, it dried it right up. Thank goodness for hand sanitizer. New use for hand sanitizer out there. It doesn't just sanitize your hands.
If you're a really leaky boy or girl, use hand sanitizer. Rub it directly on the spot. Now to make it even more noticeable.
Just don't rub it on the actual, organ because that hurts.
Oh, yeah, the chemical burn.
Yeah.
Of the exposed hole.
I did that once. Back when I was still a cam model. Right when I met you.
Ah.
I was doing some work. Remember my job?
Yep, I remember.
And somebody asked me to spray something. I was wearing white compression shorts. And they were like, hey, make them wet. And I was like, okay. And the first thing I had was, what do you think?
A 50-50
bottle. A 50-50 bottle. Yep. So I sprayed it on.
Because you are a fursuiter.
Because I was a fursuiter first.
Well, you are a fursuiter, but right.
So I had 50-50 handy. So I decided, yeah, I'll use this. This is wet. This will get me wet. And it did get wet, but then it started to burn.
It stung.
It stung. A lot. It was not my brightest moment.
Or it's like spraying. It's like spraying a can of Axe or a deodorant. And again, I discovered that if you spray it directly on your ass, it burns. Then you taste it. And then if you spray it on your dick hole hurts, and same thing.
I did that recently. What did I? I wiped something on my butt. I told you.
We're going straight to that.
It was not. This is not toilet humor yet. We're not talking about shit. I was showering. I did mention it. Sorry.
Okay.
I was showering and I used.
Oh, the shampoo with the tingly feeling.
Tea tree shampoo. Because my latest thing now is this. Your body has hair all over it. At least mine does. So you can't just wash it with soap. You have to shampoo that hair a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I came up with this is because for a long time, while I was dating you actually, I had smelly pits.
I think a lot of people have smelly pits.
They do. And a lot of people are into that, but I'm not.
They are.
At least not my own, anyway.
I like a natural musk, but if it's like a funk, then
if it's a funk, if it's a month or so of
that'd be going too far with that.
It just smells like you're wearing slices of pizza under your armpits at that point.
Oh no, it'd smell worse than that.
Well, slices of pizza that have been sitting out for weeks.
It would be a slice of pizza that's been sitting in a Tupperware container inside a Toyota Corolla for about 6 months. That's how bad it would smell.
Yeah.
And it turned black, liquid, and rotten.
With maggots.
Well, not really. Not with maggots, because it'd be in a Tupperware container sealed.
Right.
But the moment you open the Tupperware container, that's when the black plague comes out. Don't ask me Well, you know exactly the reference to that, but.
So my point of that was, I made the amazing discovery that if you shampoo your arm hairs, your underarm hairs, first, then go back and wash it with whatever body soap or bar soap you use, you can actually salvage your armpits again.
You will vitalize your pits.
I used to just wash them twice with body wash, but it was never enough. It never seemed to do it. But shampooing those hairs, then going back and washing the skin.
Maybe that's why so many gays and bis in this community, but also the furry community that like to shave, which there is no shaming someone who absolutely wants or enjoys shaving every single follicle off their body. You know what? If you have the time and commitment to do so, great. Which I don't have the time and commitment to keep doing that, and they keep growing out thicker and thicker.
Yeah.
Then it becomes even more noticeable which is why for me, I've never shaved anything, because you know what? Well, I mean,
You've trimmed.
I trim, yes. I actually trim, but I've never fully shaved my entire body, because you know what?
You manscape.
Well, that's actually what manscaping is a complete total shave.
Not necessarily. Manscaping is just keeping it in check.
I guess.
There's different degrees of manscaping. But before you go on that, my whole point of that was, I decided this last time that I would use tea tree shampoo, not just regular cheap shampoo that we have. And it started to tingle. First it started on the balls, because that's where I started. It was on the balls.
It worked up the shaft.
Well, there's really not much hair on the shaft, though.
Oh, so it's only attacking hair follicles.
Yes.
Oh.
But I have a hairy butt,
Okay.
as you well know. And that's where the shampoo really went in. It went in, literally.
Everything all lived in harmony until the shampoo attacked.
Tea tree. Don't put tea tree on the butthole. No tea tree shampoo. I had a cold butthole for probably a good 30, 40 minutes after that. It was cold, like actually cold.
You should talk to Houston Johnson about buttholes.
Houston Jones?
Yeah. He knows a lot about the human butthole.
He does.
Especially for his is the most strongest of buttholes.
Almost a bit much.
He knows too much about the butthole. He has an expertise on muscular buttholes.
He knows exactly what who his audience is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of gay men that look at that man's body.
Oh, yeah. And his references to his butthole.
And that's why he wears his American flag Speedo all the time.
Yep.
Shout out to Houston Jones, by the way.
We love you, man.
Love him.
But just going back to just trimming.
Yep.
I do notice that a lot of furries do that. And I don't know if I have the time or commitment to even do that. And I know the moment you start shaving everything off your body is when it all comes back twice as thick. Which means you have to keep on top of that. So here's a hint to anyone who is considering shaving themselves. If your hair is barely noticeable, don't shave. Because you know what? The moment you start shaving, the more it's going to grow in thicker and faster. So unless your hair is so thick as it is naturally, then there's no point to not shave. So then you're better off shaving if you really, really want to shave. If it's that noticeable. If you're naturally a hairy person.
Yeah.
But if you're a person that has very thin hairs all over your body, I wouldn't maybe recommend shaving at that point until it really becomes thick, because believe me, I don't know, they almost become eventually coaxial cable pubes.
Do you ever get that one thick hair on your face that just doesn't want to get cut by the razor?
Yes, that's every.
Just one hair. It's usually just one hair. And you can feel it when you're scratching your face because it's thicker.
The only place that I have that happen is underneath my jawline. In one specific spot is the only place where my razor...
It doesn't always come out. It's not always in the same spot.
Are you talking about me specifically, or just...
You specifically, at least for me.
Because only in one spot on my jawline, on both sides, is it hard to shave regardless. If I use 4 5-bladed disposable razor or my safety blade,
Yeah.
I somehow can't seem to get rid of those. So no matter how many passes I take on that part of the jawline, I still cannot find a way to get rid of them. So,
Because I end up where it's literally just one hair follicle, and my electric razor misses it. It just goes right past it because it's such a thick hair that I have to yank it out myself.
sometimes you have to do that.
And then I look at it and I'm like, why are you so thick?
Double C thick.
It is. It's like 6 hairs in one.
It's an Arnold Schwarzenegger follicle.
It's not a dog, it's a ferret. Who are you? What is it?
It was, who is your daddy and what does he do? I am Detective John Kimball.
Who?
Bullshit.
Shut up, you idiot.
Bullshit.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah? Yeah? No. Yeah?
I'm a cop, you idiot.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a cop, you idiot, why don't you come down here and talk to me? This is a Gator Lodge.
Yeah, I don't know. See, grooming is definitely a nice thing. Like, I think everyone should definitely groom themselves to a good period or extensively, meaning your entire body, where you become literally a porcelain statue.
I'm sorry.
What?
You threw me off there for a second when you said grooming.
No, not that kind of grooming.
I was thinking of that kind of grooming.
No. I'm talking about hair grooming.
Sorry, I was thinking about when Commander Wolf was here. And he was talking about grooming.
What are we talking about grooming?
He was talking about someone we know who was grooming someone for bad things.
If it's exactly what I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking like the verbal use of the word grooming.
Actually, I really don't know. But anyway.
You know what that means, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what it means.
Okay.
It's not what I'm going with, though.
Sorry.
But with grooming hair, or like some people are very proud of their hair, some people are very proud of their bodies. They could spend an entire week just grooming themselves because hair grows back. And the more you cut hair, you should know this because you're a hairstylist, that if you cut a hair, it'll grow back faster because it's been cut. It shrinks a bit because it gets recoiled back into the pretty much the skin layer where...
Actually, that's kind of a myth, and I can enlighten you on that.
Okay,
It took
please
me
explain.
forever. When your hair is wet,
Mm-hmm.
it is stretched.
Stretched.
Yes.
So what does it mean stretched?
Your hair has some elasticity to it.
Okay, all right.
So when it's wet, it gets stretched longer. They cut it, and then it goes back to...
It's normal length.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Took me a while to figure that out. But after going to school for a while and understanding exactly how hair works.
So that's why people splash water on their face before they shave, so that way they can... Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense.
Wet the hair so they come out more.
I guess it must be an instantaneous thing.
Mm,
Because if it takes several minutes and you're shaving,
no.
it'd be you would have already gone through a pass somewhere else, and
As soon as that hair is wet, it stretches.
so much like a penis, except when you're horny.
Mm,
But you don't really cut the penis. You just get horny
you
and it
don't
stretches.
cut the penis, and
No.
usually when my penis gets wet, it gets smaller.
Definite shrinkage.
So that's a bad analogy there.
Yeah, I guess. Definite shrinkage.
Definitely shrinkage.
No! No, come back! It's definite shrinkage! My penis is bigger than what you thought it was!
Oh,
No!
Poor George.
Poor George and his shrunken, shriveled, cold self.
Costanza.
Costanza.
Stanza.
That's such a great show.
Huh?
It's a great show.
It is a great show. Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message
At the beep.
I could be out.
Or I'd pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home. Beep. It's
And I finally showed you where that song came from.
yeah.
Great American Hero. Late 80s sitcom.
Believe it or not, it's just me.
Yep.
I swear, themes back in the day were just so much better.
Oh, yeah.
I think this goes back on an earlier subject, but yeah, it's just shows back in the day had their own theme songs, and they just were great. Even movies like Short Circuit had their own themes. A lot of it more obscure than others. Often enough, they had one single release because it was part of the soundtrack, and they aren't even. You can't even find them on iTunes. You can't really find it anywhere else. It's just some weird YouTubers like, oh well, I got a period record set that has the soundtrack, and they upload it online.
I bought a 45 vinyl of the theme song from The Great American Hero. That Believe It or Not song. I owned that on a 45 record.
We need to play it. Yeah.
Did you have something else you wanted to talk about?
I forget. What else did we want to talk about?
Pizza?
That's right, pizza. So let's talk about frozen pizza.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about some good frozen pizza brands that kind of stand out to us as really either good value or just really good tasty pizza. DiGiorno, damn it. DiGiorno pizza, while expensive, is some really tasty pizza.
It's not delivery.
It's DiGiorno. It's not delivery. It's the Higme Shigme Florgan. That's an old reference to an older show. What?
What show?
That'd be 2 cents.
Oh.
And then there's Home Run Inn. Orv's or Orville's Pizza.
Jack's.
Jack's is good.
Jack's is actually owned by Nestle,
Really?
who also owns Tombstone Pizza.
Tombstone Pizza, look at that. Break
They're
your
both-
teeth on some Tombstone Pizza. Pull it out of the oven and you get a nice 30-pound brick.
Really?
No. Tombstone Pizza, you'll lose your teeth over it.
That would be a very bad campaign. They shouldn't run that.
No.
Who hired this husky?
Manhole cover pizza. It's in a freezer at the supermarket. It's just a frozen circular metal plate. It's got some cheese on it.
A few rusty pieces of pepperoni.
Oh God. What other? Now, I only discovered recently in the last year or two that Geno's East had frozen Chicago deep dish style pizza.
Yes, they do.
I don't know how long they've been doing that, but I know it's genius because you know what? There's not many deep dish places in the Milwaukee area.
No.
Of course, there's what's that? Rosati's or no? Scotty Pizzeria.
Yeah.
Which is what we had that one time, and it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't bad.
It was actually pretty tasty, despite it taking almost 90 minutes to make, but it's pretty good though.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have deep dish frozen pizza at the grocer that you can pick up, put it in your oven for 25-30 minutes. It's still faster than getting one ordered, but they're only like 12-inch or less diameter pizza. So it's really meant for 1 or 2 people, mostly for 2 people. You could make it for yourself, and you can live on the next 2 days on pizza, but we've been talking about how Little Caesars, Domino's, Pizza Hut, how much of the market they got for, fast food pizza, sort of? Where you can go to the store or order online and get delivered or for pickup of pizza that you can get from them or even Toppers or whatnot. They're almost missing out on the frozen pizza market by not offering anything frozen in stores.
Yeah.
Because it's like Gino's East. Yeah, you can make whatever pizza you want, but they offer cheese and sausage. They could offer more, but they offer at least that, and that's still better than nothing.
Yeah.
Make a pizza at home, or keep for a rainy day, and make your favorite delivery pizza in the comfort of your own home. I'm just surprised they've not done that. It's like, have you noticed that Taco Bell and TGI Fridays...
TGI Fridays definitely
has frozen foods in the frozen food section that you can...
We have it.
Have sliders from...
White Castle.
And also White Castle. Actually, White Castle's genius, because you know why? There's only one White Castle that I know of, and it's in Kenosha.
Yeah.
But there are no further north than Kenosha. And I think White Castle's a Indiana or Illinois brand that's just famous. Like, if you're in Illinois, you gotta at least try White Castle once. And everyone's, like, talking about, oh, no, gave me food poisoning. Oh, I had the runs. Which, actually, I must have...
It just gives you the shits a little bit.
I must have an iron intestine because I don't have that problem. Because I remember me, Kiba, and Briggs, back in 2013... This is a period in my life where I couldn't go to meets in my own car because it was falling apart so bad I could not drive across state lines because I was afraid to break apart in Illinois in the middle of the night. Back in the days when I had a flip phone. So me and Kiba, who used to live in Green Bay, this is when we were going to the Laugh Meets, when Downers Grove Bull Meet was originally called Laugh Meet, or the Laugh Bull Meet. That was before they started making the distinction that Laugh was Lake Area Furry Friends and not one particular meet in Chicago. Mm-hmm. That's when they had to make the distinction that it was called DG Bull Meet or Fur Bull Meet instead of just Laugh. Kiba, who was a New York native who moved to Wisconsin and then moved back to New York, really, really friendly guy. I actually miss him because he's moved out since 2014 or 2015, so I haven't seen him. He would go to local cons, and we stopped in the middle of the night after. No, it was before Laugh. We stopped by and he wanted to try White Castle because he's never had it before. Briggs never had White Castle in his life either, and I've had it before, and it's not bad. Mm-hmm. Where a cup of water was $1, or no, I don't think they ever charged for cups of water. It was free.
Yeah.
And each slider was like 69 cents or something like that. Why? Because nice. And I think I had like 3 or 4 sliders, or maybe 5, well, because they're so cheap. They're bite-sized, so you just put them in your mouth. And I think almost immediately it went through both of them. Where else me, I was fine the rest of the night. So, yeah, it was just odd. And you know the Macklemore song, Thrift Shopping? When that song was big on the radio, we once heard that song on one radio station along the whole night going to and from the bull meet about 20 times. We heard that song on the radio 20 times in one evening and at night. It was nuts. But it was a good song, it's just they overplayed it, which you almost never hear it these days anyway.
Have you, did you see the best Halloween costume of 2020 this year yet?
No.
Do you want to see it?
Sure.
There you go.
Oh, it's a broken face mask, which let's actually talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk about face masks.
He's literally an abandoned face mask.
That's funny. Because you know what? I've been noticing. So, before the pandemic happened, you know, trash on the streets. So you see plastic bottle caps on the floor, or McDonald's cups or bags or whatever.
Yep.
It's people still litter, which I don't get it. So in parking lots all across the country, you will find some form of litter, right? Well, this past year, you know what's the most common thing I have seen so far? And it's just a symbol of our times. Masks. I'm seeing masks in Walmart, Pick and Save, Target, anywhere, parking lots, at gas stations, wherever. I find them littering the floor, which I don't know how you can forget something so crucial or throw it out that way, but
they just do. They don't care.
It's interesting that the very thing that we depend on the most to keep ourselves safe is also littering the floor or the ground of our country and probably around the world.
Yeah.
Now, let's actually talk about after pandemic. I don't know if I've ever asked you, but do you think we might become like a Japan where, you know, after blue fever in the 1920s, Japan started wearing masks since the 1920s and on as a sign of mutual, not respect, but like a mutual, I
know what you're talking about. It's just common courtesy.
Common courtesy. And since the 1920s, Japan, one of their cultural things that they've done for so long, and it will be 100 years since then, wearing a mask in public. Mm-hmm. Whether if you don't want to catch anyone's sick, or if you are sick, you're going to protect other people in society because it is the right thing to do. Although Americans are very selfish, it seems now people are really trying to catch up, although recently we've got huge uptick in COVID cases. Wait, hold on. Hoosk sneeze. And I did not explode. So, do you see people in this country, or at least locally, or a lot of people, do you think after this pandemic is done and over with, when it does happen, do you think masks are going to be a common sight? Even if it's not worn so much, do you think people might still wear masks after the fact?
Yeah, I think that actually that's what they're doing right now anyway with the masks. They're conditioning us to be used to wearing them when we're in public.
See, that doesn't bother me one bit, because, you know what?
That's what this is just, again, my own personal feelings on this. I feel like it's less about COVID and more about reconditioning us for being in public.
Also, the Japanese social courtesy of benefiting society that if you're sick, you should probably wear a mask. Which, to be honest, at work, even after this pandemic is done and over with, people can go back to work, and even if you felt ill, you could probably still, unless you're that ill that you couldn't come to work, even if you had a common cold, you could wear a mask at work so you didn't have to infect other people. That would be really, really nice. I think there's I think a lot of people in this country are going to forget masks. They're probably not going to forget the experience, but I think they're going to stop wearing masks to a certain degree. However, some people will continue to wear masks long after. So it's not to say all of the country is going to stop doing it.
And you know why? Here's the reason why too. This is all brought on through politics. It's one more thing for us to argue about.
Yeah.
I had a guy in our store the other day that was arguing and screaming and yelling because one of our vendors, not even somebody employed by us, just somebody that comes into our store and stocks stuff, either wasn't wearing his mask properly or wasn't wearing one at all. But he's not our employee. We don't have control over this guy.
Yeah.
We could ask him to, but we can't chase him,
This
tackle him and force him to wear a mask.
This is a vendor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a Frito-Lay vendor or something. One of those people comes in, stocks their brand of product, and then goes to the next location.
And you're saying a customer went out of their way to yell at them.
Yep.
You know what?
So much so, the customer was yelling and screaming and raving like a crazy person.
You know what? I don't blame them. You're putting yourself at risk, but you're also putting other people at risk too for not wearing a mask these days.
Yeah.
Will that be the case in 2 years' time when this all gets under control and blows away by then?
I don't know.
I have a feeling that this may be a new normal.
It is. I'm sure it is.
Of course, maybe in close proximity locations like grocery stores. I think like the Chicago Auto Show or even the Milwaukee Auto Show is pretty big. Rock concerts. I think all of these social events will come back when it is safe to do so. And when it does, I think some people will probably still wear a mask. Now, for example, Walmart.
Yes.
Fursuiters have a hard time fursuiting at Walmart because it's covering their face.
Yeah.
Now, because you wear a mask that does cover your face, but for health reasons, do you think society is going to change that you can no longer, right now, it's necessary that you must cover your face, which means even if you stole something and you wear a mask, they may have a hard time identifying you. But those are people that have a motive to do so, or else you and I, we do it because we want to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah.
Do you think society, businesses are going to say, hey, look, you are covering your face, we can't let you in? Nowadays, it's, hey, you must cover your face because we want to contain the spread of illness. In our future, are we going to be seeing masks more differently now?
Probably.
Not just for fursuit reasons.
Because there's people that bank and take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Not being able to be identified.
That too?
Because our theft is skyrocketed.
Oh, right now, huh? Really?
Mm-hmm. Daily.
So.
Even in the smallest of ways too. Big and small. We had somebody steal a cake.
At your store.
Yeah.
One
that they ordered, had it prepared, and walked out the door with it.
And didn't pay for it.
You
have to wonder if they were confused that they thought that they already paid for it, walked out with the cake.
What's confusing?
I
Did you hand money to somebody?
I thought maybe you actually could order that online or something.
You can.
I know that you could perhaps order it online, but I was wondering if you pay for it online as well. But maybe that's pay in person or something like that.
We have people that come in, load up a suitcase full of stuff, leave, then someone else comes in, grabs the suitcase, and walks out.
Oh, really? Wow, that's pretty fancy there.
Yeah, there's some clever thieves out there.
That's impressive. Well, then I guess maybe masks are both a necessary evil. What is that? Oh, dumpster fire. That's funny. That actually is really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just looking at masks and how Japan sees masks as a normal thing where if someone walked in a store wearing a mask, they don't think anything different of it. Whereas in this country, anyone before 2020 happened, if you walked into a store with a medical mask on, people are going to look at you funny and they may even ask you to take it off. Nowadays, you have to wonder, will people ever question people wearing masks after this point? Some people think that they're going to toss masks away. Well, not in the literal sense, but in the figurative sense that as soon as this pandemic is over with, people are going to not wear them afterwards. Where I have a hard time believing that, because I think, yes, if you want to not become sick, especially with something that you don't know what you have, and that could potentially kill you at this point, which is kind of scary. I think masks will be a part of our future. It won't be our future as what some people fear it could be, which to me, among small gatherings, you don't need to wear a mask so much, but among big, large gatherings like a fair or a musical concert or whatever,
yeah,
it's nice to probably wear a mask anyway for that kind of reason, but also, too, this is before we ever thought about that our breathing contributes to little droplets in the air around us, that massive super spreader events is possible, and we never thought of this before until now. I don't know. I just think masks are going to be a part of our future, and I think they're going to be here to stay. Would I have ever thought of something like this could happen? Well, I don't think anyone else thought this could happen. But now, to me, wearing a mask does not bother me one bit. For some reason, it was a huge stick up people's asses as far as it's invading my constitutional rights.
What right? The right to not wear a mask? I mean, what?
The thing is, though, if you go to a company, let's say you go to Walmart, and they tell you, hey, you must walk in as a clown, face paint, and costume in order to buy services from them, or products, food, whatnot. If you had to walk into Walmart, and they had to tell you, sorry, sir, you must walk out because you're not a clown, right? A company can dictate what you can and cannot do, right? Because it's a private company. Isn't that right, Kurdan?
It is.
So if...
Actually, Walmart is not a private company.
Or it's public,
Well,
but they still make their own rules.
Publicly traded.
It's publicly traded, so it's not private then.
It's not private.
It's only private or it's public. It can't be both. And I know that Walmart is public because you can gain access to their accounting information on their website.
Yes.
So, Walmart, which actually for even public traded, they can still tell you, hey, if you want to buy products from us, you must wear a pirate hat.
Yep.
But I don't want to wear a pirate hat. Well, too bad. If you want to come into our store, you must wear a pirate hat. Or if you want to order out inside a McDonald's, you must wear clown shoes. Otherwise, it's a driveway through you, or it's the drive-through for you. And people who would rather order food inside would have to wear clown shoes, right? The company is what dictates what you can and can't do. Whether if it's against your constitutional rights, they don't care. They're a corporation. They make the rules. Outside of that, they can't tell you what to exactly do. But if you want to go inside, you must abide to what they want you to do.
Right.
I think a lot of Americans realize that their constitutional rights don't mean much inside an actual business.
Yep.
Even if you think it does, it actually doesn't. If Planet Fitness told you you have to be naked and greased up like a Greek god in order to walk in and use their weight machines. If you don't want to get naked and greased up in olive oil, you're not allowed to come in because those are the rules that they set. You follow by them or you don't come in. And Americans think that, well, I don't have to do this because, it's my right to do what the hell I want. Well, not necessarily. There's no right to tell you that you can do whatever the hell you want. Yeah, you can not wear a seatbelt while you drive, but the state tells you to do it anyway. Even though that you can say it's against...
They've made it a law, though. They've made it a law.
Well, that too.
A law that you can be ticketed for.
Yeah. Although some people don't want to wear a seatbelt because, I grew up without a seat.
That is what they should have done with the masks. They should have made it a law.
Made it a law for going into businesses?
Yeah.
They are actually talking about making a mask mandate nationwide. Like, regardless of local or state.
Mandate is one thing. They need to make it an official law.
So that's going beyond Japan right there, where they're not required to wear a mask. It's voluntary. It's voluntarily. However, in Japan, it's common sense. Yeah. To us, it's necessary because it's getting out of control here. Once you make something a law, you must have a means to not make it a law by making it not a law. I would say a mandate is better than a law because it can be repealed at some point, or if ever. When you make it a law, then it's permanent.
My only issue with this, and I'm really not saying that they should make it a law, but Americans are so headstrong that if it's not made into a law, so many people will never abide by it.
Much like how people...
They'll fight it tooth and nail. Oh, yeah. Like you said, well, you're taking away my right by making me wear a mask. They'll bitch and complain from any angle possible to get their way out of it. Mm-hmm. Because it's not a law.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Americans are too headstrong and too stubborn to accept such a thing that's going to impede, which, to be honest, have you ever heard of people where these masks hurt my ears? Mm-hmm. Or I can't breathe through this.
Oh, God.
You know what? I've been wearing a mask since April, and I've not had a single breathing issue since.
I have asthma. I've been wearing my mask since March, April.
And you've not had an issue with breathing?
No, and I have asthma. I take medication for it.
Right. In fact, you're actually allergic to cats.
Yep.
And we have a cat.
Myself.
Yourself. You are sneezing at yourself.
I am sneezing at myself.
But also at Tiny Poos.
Yep.
And even still, you're doing pretty good.
You know what I'd like to look up?
What?
This is something that I was just thinking about. Because we used to watch these videos all the time. I want to see a sovereign citizen complaining about having to wear a mask.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It has to be amazing.
The same bitchy people that feel like they're not a part of the United States, which, if you have a birth certificate...
I don't drive a vehicle. I maneuver a transportation device. I'm sorry. If any of you guys are sovereign citizens, that's all well and good. You made that choice. But it's a choice that's going to be picked on and made fun of.
I don't know. If you're a sovereign citizen, you must rip up your original birth certificate.
Yeah.
And after that, you are no longer a citizen with this country, because the moment that you erase any bit of records about yourself, most particularly, because I will tell you this, me speaking from experience, because I'm Franco-American, French and American citizenship.
Yep.
The only reason why I have French citizenship is that I have a legal French birth certificate in that country, as well as a American birth certificate in this country.
You were born in both countries.
Where
were you born, actually?
Milwaukee.
So
I'm actually born. So I am built in the United States with French imported components. So if you think about it, I am a French werehoosk in Milwaukee. So I'm playing on the American werewolf in London, but I'm the French werehoosk in Milwaukee, which is funny. If you're a sovereign citizen, you're going beyond ripping a passport. You're absolutely destroying every bit of legal evidence, your social security card, your
Because you exist, basically.
you have to no longer exist to a country to become an actual sovereign citizen, which means once you destroy all the evidence that you legally exist to a country, that's when you become a sovereign citizen, is when you don't belong to any country at all.
Yep.
So, if you're a sovereign citizen, you're still a citizen to the country you're born in, because legally that's what makes you a legal citizen in this country, is by birth, right?
Yeah.
So, you must destroy your birth certificate, your original government-issued birth certificate. And to be honest, birthrights in all countries on the planet Earth are all done the same way. A birth certificate, unless a third world underdeveloped country that don't have them, well, then you can be a citizen to any country, because you know what? You're not a citizen to your own country. You're born in a country. You can say you're from a country, but there's no legal evidence that you're from that country.
Yeah.
But in an industrialized world, we all understand the concept of birth certificate. But it is interesting. But it's like, I don't want to wear a mask. It hurts my ears. I'm sorry you have paper-thin, weak ears.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself a strong person, but holy cow, with how you complain about how a mask hurts your ears, I must have Arnold Schwarzenegger ears. It's just impressive that people complain about the smallest things.
But they do.
And they do. And the people that complained in my company about wearing a mask, how it hurts their ears, are now the same people that are now yelling at other people to wear their masks, which I'm so glad that they've made that transition now. However, it's the same people that wear the mask improperly, only covering their mouths, but they're breathing through their nose, and their nose aren't even covered by the mask. Or they pull their mask fully down to expose their nose and face during work, making wearing a mask perfectly useless. Me, I wear the mask how it should be. Over your mouth, over your nose, and you always wear it. You are more likely to keep yourself safe that way than you are just wearing a mask underneath your chin.
It's funny when you mention that, how you wear a mask, because the person I work with that nobody gets along with, and is a pain in the ass and pain in my ass. People actually make fun of her the way she wears her mask.
She wear a thong?
No. She...
Does she only cover her nose?
No, well, she does that too, or sometimes she won't wear it. She puts two, like bobby pin or hair clip things in her hair right above her ears.
Yeah.
And she puts the mask through that instead of around her ear.
Because it covers her face.
Because her ears hurt.
See, the idea with... It's much like boot camp in a military sense. If you're going through boot camp, of course your body's going to ache because you're going to be building muscles you didn't have before, right?
Yeah.
And the more and more you train, the less it's going to hurt because you're using your muscles, you're maintaining muscle strength and mass. And really, you don't notice the pain because you're already used to it.
Yeah.
And you've already built a threshold of pain and strength with it, right? So, yeah, my ears hurt for about a week or two. And after that, I've never had an issue wearing a mask since, and that was back in April.
Beyond that, if you're wearing a mask the right way, I tend to stretch the bands out in the beginning so they're not so tight. Because some of them are tighter than others, I've noticed, too. But with that, I stretch the bands out. And I check to make sure that it's not pulled too much on the top and loose on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's evenly stretched out, it won't hurt as much. I don't know. I'm drunk.
I mean, it makes sense.
I'm drunk.
Yeah, it's okay. Me too.
One beer. Did I show you Pepsi Man yet?
Pepsi Man. What's Pepsi Man?
And Coke Bear.
No, you haven't.
So the Coca-Cola bears that come out usually they're in the winter campaigns.
Yep.
For Coca-Cola, and he is wrestling with Pepsi Man.
They're about to fuck. Oh my god! And there is Ronald McDonald in the background, which almost looks like a Third Reich image, where these banners with the the golden arches on a red banner, and there's Ronald McDonald standing at what kind of looks like a pedestal, overseeing the battle of Coca-Cola and Pepsi Man. Pepsi Man has a bulge.
Yeah, he does.
And then there is Ronald McDonald in the background, standing ominously with his hands behind his back, overviewing the battle that is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I was looking at this, and then I saw this figure in the background, wait a minute. That's the clown. But the clown has taken over the world at this point.
Yeah.
That's funny. That is fantastic.
Yes. So I'm going to possibly cut this short because
Yeah,
I want to shower.
I don't have much to say at this point. I just thought with masks, how people complain, people are now taking it seriously, although not all people. The madness is real, and for those in future vision, or looking back on this episode, I think a few days ago, this country tested nearly 100,000 people. The record now is 98,000 people tested positive in one day.
Wow.
98,000 people. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but a certain campaign has told that we have a victory over the pandemic on stopping it. I don't know. That's not stopping it when you still have nearly 1,000 people dying a day. I don't know about 1,000. I think it's nearly 1,000 people a day dying. It's insane. And nearly 100,000 people a day are getting sick with this. And people are claiming, it's a victory. Yeah, take that. Yeah, USA. It's
We don't have to
no.
wear a mask anymore.
Celebrate good times no more. Take off the mask now. And yet, this is still ongoing in the rest of the world. It's totally childish. That's all I want to say about that.
I know.
But it's absurd to think that we are through with this.
It is.
So.
Quick update with something I spoke of last time. My friend that I told you about, that I was friends with on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
that was bi and he's going through stuff.
Yeah.
With his very strongly influencing Christian family, parents. We don't really talk anymore.
Oh, why is that?
He doesn't respond to me.
After he wants to...
After he explicitly said...
He wants to suck your pee-pee.
Yeah, he was using explicit...
He was words. All caps, wants to fuck you. And then
wants to get fucked by Spidey.
And I think he must realize, I don't know. Maybe he's starting to...
He goes through this. I think he's got some issues.
Sounds like it. And it's not to say that religion is the source of a lot of issues, but it certainly is a source of some issues where...
He's definitely a catalyst, for sure.
Where it really, really torments some people on how they really do feel, and they're too afraid to express themselves, which festers for many years, and it kind of destroys some
it can
people.
ruin, it has ruined people, because they're so torn between
what they already know, but
right.
who they want to be.
Like, will my religion and my family and my friends accept me? Or am I really happy living this life that is essentially a lie when my heart wants something else that these other things don't think is right?
Exactly.
And you can't sit there in between those.
No.
Because it will torment you. You've got to, I'm not going to say listen to your heart, because some people can't, but choose one, because otherwise you will forever be tormented by it. And if you get married and have kids and still have these other feelings, then you're not just lying to yourself anymore. You're not lying to, the woman that you married.
The kids that you
have
help,
bore.
Yeah. And how they will feel about that once they realize you've been unhappy this whole time. That really destroys the reality of a lot of people.
And the reality of that is it's not very uncommon. It's very common.
It's happened to a lot of people where even actually someone who grew up gay, grew up Christian, or just religious in general, because it's religion, really. It's not any type of religion. It's just religion.
Yeah.
Grew up, have these feelings, but they're too afraid to express them, or too afraid to live them, or to accept them. Live a lie believing that this could make them happy eventually. Do all the things that their religion would say would make them a better person. And turns out, in the end, it couldn't.
Yeah.
That is so much damaging because you've had so many wasted years doing so.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that have come out late in life, too, where they finally just realized. In fact, before I moved, the neighbors just down the street that I told you about, that lived in that corner house, just down the block from where my parents used to live in Aurora.
Okay. I remember exactly that house with the fence, right?
Yeah, with the fence. There used to be a doggo that was in the yard there. There was a gay couple that bought that house when it went up for sale again. I made friends with them for the last 3 or 4 months. They didn't hit on me or anything. It was actually a great friendship. It was something I needed. I wish that I had gone down there sooner and met them, because they're really nice people. And I remember their names even. They're in my phone. I'll have to check. But the one guy, there's a black guy and a white guy. And the white guy had kids from his previous marriage with his wife. But at like age 50, he finally decided,
This didn't work.
I'm not happy. I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to my wife. His wife and him are still best friends. And his kids are all normal, functioning adults. Lucky. He got lucky. Because people don't always get that lucky.
Exactly.
So he is blessed. I don't use that word often or lightly at all.
Right.
But he is blessed to have an ex-wife that loves and accepts him for who he now realizes he is. I think she probably knew, too. It's one of those things.
If you only have sex to only bear the kids that you have, where in a couple, sex is a pretty normal thing. It shouldn't be everything, but it should be a bit of a glue that keeps the relationship together. If you only have sex to bear the kids that you have today, that's already saying something.
Yeah.
You're either an old-fashioned 40s, 50s, 60s couple that only had sex just to have kids. There's something wrong with that. Now, your neighbor's son, Ernie.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Oof. See, that's
an example of what happens when it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Well, so my old neighbors on the other side of the house, his son was a Marine. I knew him. I was pretty young when I met Buddy. 14, 15. Out of all the kids that he had, Buddy was the oldest. He was by far the most handsome out of all the kids. When he came back from serving in the Marines, he got married to a friend of mine's daughter, my friend Bonnie. Her daughter Carissa married Buddy. They were married for, what did I say, 5, 6, 7 years?
Something like that.
Almost over a half a decade for sure. They never had sex. They never had sex. I remember going through emails on the computer that I worked on, because I used to work for Ernie's wife's property management company.
In the 1990s.
Yeah, actually, no. This was in the mid to late 2000s.
Really?
Just before I met you. And I was working on the oldest computer that they had, and it had all these emails. I found naked pictures of her son John. That was Pat's son, because Pat and Ernie had prior marriages apart from each other before they got married.
They had pictures of their naked son on their computer.
No.
Oh, okay.
John used to work for their company. He used to email out naked pictures of himself to people.
To other people.
On that computer.
On a business email.
Well, I don't know if it was on the business email, but it was definitely saved on the computer.
On the business wow.
Because I saw something that was titled John 2003, and I was like, oh, God, this is going to be a dick pic, isn't it?
So before sexting, there was sexy emails.
Yeah.
Sex emails.
Sex mails.
Sex mail, there we go. So.
You've got sex mail.
Badoing.
So, I found pictures of John, the other son from the other marriage.
Okay.
His penis. And then I found pictures of Buddy, basically partying it up with friends he was friends with in the Marines. And one of the pictures I found, which I think I still have it somewhere, I'll have to dig, was a picture of, I'm almost embarrassed to say, really.
Just say it.
Okay. Buddy's friend was wearing some kind of tights or compression shorts or something.
In the service?
Yes.
Okay.
But you only saw his friend from, like...
The nips down.
Not even the nips, like the abs down.
The navel.
And mainly the picture centered around his bulge.
His bulge.
Which was being caressed by...
Buddy. It takes a real man
to caress another man's bulge. Lovingly.
Yes. Lovingly in the service.
Yeah. But you can tell it was done in jest.
Right. Boys be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will suck each other's dicks.
I mean, I've heard some funny Marine stories of guys trying to shed on each other's chest for money because that was the only thing they could do.
Yeah.
So again, nothing that doesn't seem unusual, because you know what? When you're cooped together for 4 years,
You get comfortable.
You get comfortable with the guys you serve with, because you got to rely on each other's.
Yeah, for sure.
For survival. However, you get to know each other so well, you can do stupid stuff like that,
Yes.
and it's not an issue. Hell, shit, if you're showering, you're all naked together anyway. Or at least back then. I don't know what the shower routine is now, but in the service, you literally saw everyone naked anyway.
I even came across an email that Buddy had sent out to one of his friends in the Marines. That sounded a little bit more than friends.
So you suspected...
I miss you. Like, I miss you. I need you. I need you in my life, kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah.
So you...
Pretty heavy stuff.
So, did you want to talk about what happened to Buddy?
Well, Buddy, like I said, he came back. He married Carissa, my friend Bonnie's daughter. They were married for 6-7 years. He was a mail carrier, so he was making good money.
Actually, you're making incredibly good money through
as long as you're full-time, which he was full-time. His father, Ernie, was very pressuring. I basically would say things like, I don't want to talk to you until you produce a grandchild for me.
Wow, that's pretty awful.
That's really awful. Like, don't come back and talk to me until you've...
Ernie said this?
Yes.
Wow.
Until you've impregnated your wife, I don't want to hear from you.
That's a very Catholic thing to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Knock the bitch up. Wow.
Yep. Otherwise, I don't want anything to do with you. You're no
Wow.
longer my son, basically.
That's really rough, actually.
Yeah.
That's really rough.
Putting pressure on him that he already doesn't need. He already has, this Marine life behind him, which that's the only thing that Ernie was ever proud of. My son was a Marine.
But yet he won't talk to his son because he doesn't bear crotch fruit.
Right. Yeah. This is rough. Even talking about it now upsets me. So, I had been working with them and their property management company for probably a year and a half. More like 3 years, actually. So I got to know everybody really well, probably too well. And we got a phone call one day. And Bonnie answered it because she was line one. And it was her daughter saying, Buddy's locked himself in the bedroom. He won't let me in. Oh. No, he didn't lock her out of the bedroom. He locked her out of the house. He changed the locks and everything. And he left her voicemails and emails saying, my friend Edgar or Edwin or somebody, you should stay with him. And I think you might be happier with him because I can't be the husband you want me to be. Kind of an email.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, had been pushing her away for a while because she would come in and she'd be upset because he was not happy. So if the husband isn't happy, the wife's not going to be happy either. So we got this phone call saying he's locked himself in the house. That went by for a week or two where he wouldn't let anybody in the house. And eventually, I don't remember who did this, but someone started to really worry about him, and they called the police to check up on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so the police went there. They got some sort of search warrant because they knew he owned a firearm. And they broke in the house and they found him dead. He shot himself in the head.
All because that he hid who he probably really was and had to play a false role in life to make other people happy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't do him any good.
No.
That's pretty rough.
He couldn't live with himself.
Which, I'm sure it's not just religion. I think it's just probably like what people expect him to be doesn't help either. Especially with his folks too. It just goes beyond religion where expectations of oneself, you must carry on. But if it's not exactly what you want to do you either A, be the person you'd rather want to be, or do you want to make other people happy by being the person you're not? Yeah. Which tends to be quite self-destructive. So, for those out there who are struggling with finding out with who you are, definitely look more into yourself and ask yourself, are you happy? If you're not happy with who you're trying to be for others because you're trying to make others happy, you should probably perhaps only make yourself happy, because once you're happy, you're not really lying to yourself. Which, even for me, for many years, I was kind of ignoring who I wanted to be and thought maybe because of family expectations and religion that maybe I should be something that I probably should be in society. And it really wasn't until I met Kurdan did I start to really come to terms that, oh, I'm not straight at all, I'm just bi. But I can't hide this other aspect in the way how I feel about other things. I can't ignore that for very long. When I accepted who I want to be, there was tons lifted off my chest because I no longer had to follow what everyone had to follow. Pretty much mass production of personality. And unfortunately, some people feel forced to follow in this mentality that they must be this person that they're obviously not, but now they feel pressured to stick with it, which is just, again, self-destructing.
Yeah. And I understand what he went through. Because my parents were Catholic, and I understood what I was meant to do. In fact, I'm the last of my dad's side of the family. Mm-hmm. Every Winter's son through generations had one son each time. Mm-hmm. They didn't have multiples. It was always one replacing the other. So I'm ending this branch of Winters, unless I adopt, of course, then it wouldn't be a bloodline, but it would still be the name.
Right.
So I felt the pressure, and when I was like 17, I contemplated suicide. I kept, first I had a lot of issues going on that I don't really feel like airing on here.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Just embarrassing stuff, just embarrassing, stupid stuff. I went to see a psychiatrist who basically figured it out for me. more or less, and just told me what I already knew. But I would still go home every night and I would pray to God that I wake up the next morning and not have these feelings. Because I knew it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I thought it was wrong. My mentality, and I'm not saying it is wrong now, but my mentality back then was, what is wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this? And if I have to wake up the next morning and I'm still feeling like this, then I don't deserve to live. I should just kill myself. But I didn't. I didn't even make the attempt. I was close to it, but I didn't.
It's kind of why I feel religion's a double-edged sword, where it gives strength to those looking for it, but it also will destroy others just for being who they are, because religion's all about conformity. And humanity is... There's not... You are your only person, meaning there's only one like you. And religion is trying to iron stamp everyone into the same person, which is not possible.
Well, this took a dark turn. How did we even get on this subject?
How did it go?
Religion. We were talking about religion.
I mean, religion certainly has its good values that we should follow. It's just, I think there's a lot of values on religion that we probably should leave behind.
It needs to modernize itself a little bit. It needs to adapt to modern times.
Yes, I
because
totally agree.
Some of their teachings are just a little out of date. You can take them in the most basic sense, but if you take it word for word, literal, that's when you've gone too far with religion and its teachings. That's when you become a fanatic.
Yes.
That's when you become
brainwashed
a
fanatic.
You can't take every word out of the Bible and use it, word for word to the literal sense of it.
Or reading the Bible and then trying to interpret or trying to interpret something that is so skewed in the sense that you don't really know what it means, but you're actually going to make something up to make it work for you anyway, to show, oh yeah, this is why we don't do this.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that religion is trying to be accepting of all people, or not necessarily in that sense, but like Jesus saves, so you must think he can accept anyone in his flock. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. It's only some types of people are only accepted. So even still, they're only exclusive to those who are willing to fall under the same fold, which just in today's world just cannot work the same way it did in the past.
My issue, especially with Christianity, is that they make people feel like they're broken or wrong.
Yeah.
And they want to correct or fix them. Their gay conversion and all that crap.
Yeah. Sex is bad. You only need sex just to reproduce, but sexual needs is an ordinary...
Masturbation is a sin. Being gay is immoral. I'll tell you another one that's good on that is the Islamic religions.
Oh, they stone people.
Oh my God. They still, I've few friends overseas.
I'm totally afraid.
I've ever told them, they're like, you can't. I'm like, but this is who I am. And they're like, but you're going against God. And I'm like, God made me like this.
Yeah.
I never had this is the hardest thing to explain to somebody who does not get it.
Exactly.
I can explain this to straight people that get it, but I can't explain it to somebody who's so brainwashed by religion. When they ask me, why won't you marry a woman? And I say, because I'm attracted to a man. And they don't understand that I've never been given the choice to say, oh, well, you could be with a man, or you could do the right thing and be with a woman. And I'm sitting here like, I was never given that choice. I never got to make that decision. It was made for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never was given the checkbook where here's where you check off. Do you like men or women?
It's like in my example, me growing up back in West Dallas, I was looking at the front hubs of the Skylark, and the front hub of a rear-wheel drive car will have a stub for the kingpin, which is kind of like a front axle, but it really isn't. And to me, I always thought, oh, that looks like a penis. I'm going to kick the penis. So me growing up, even when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I even knew that looks like a penis because I somehow associated that with a penis. And I kicked this stub, which is really where your grease point for greasing up your front wheel bearings, I was kicking it. And yet, me, without anyone telling me what it actually is or knowing what a penis is, I associated it with a penis naturally. It's something that naturally occurred to me. Kicking a part of a car that looked like a penis. And then holding a rope in gym class that also looked like a penis.
Yep.
And no one else told me it looked like a penis except me.
You were surrounded by penises.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. So, naturally, this is how we all felt. Even if long before I knew what it was about, I always saw that one aspect that it's like, I'm holding a penis. Even though it's a rope with a leather banding on it, I'm grasping a penis. Some people just don't understand it because...
They can't grasp the idea.
Exactly, because...
They're so brainwashed.
Exactly. Which is why I don't think too much about religion much these days. There's certain aspects I still like about it, but I don't follow it as much.
I've always said, take out of it what you can apply to your own life.
Oh, yeah.
But don't live
it
by it and don't live it. Don't. That shouldn't be your number one thing. If you're living your life by the Bible, you're not living your life for yourself.
You're living it for Jesus, but you should really be living it for yourself from the teachings of one person.
And I'm
only
sure
apply it
that there's
to one
Christians
person.
out there that are probably shaking their heads at all of this right now. And I'm sorry, but you're mistaken, and you need to go back and look at it again. Something else I thought of with Buddy. He did, I don't say really hit on me, but I remember one time Pat and Ernie used to have an open house every year. And they'd have, family and friends over, and they would put out a big spread of food and, just welcome people over, And I remember one year, Buddy was back home during the summer, and he basically took notice of me. I'd gone through puberty, and I was becoming a man, so to speak.
Man poos.
And he kept complimenting me. I was like, wow, dude, you look great. You look really great. He kept saying I look great. And I was like, thanks, buddy. So do you. And I feel like if I had acted on it more, we probably would have messed around. Because he definitely was aimed in that direction.
He was certainly interested.
Definitely. But I didn't think anything of it because I was so young. But he saw in me someone that he probably wanted to have sex with. Because he was in his early 20s at that point. Like 21, 22, and I was like 16, 17. Yep.
Stretching out the legalities.
Yeah.
But.
Especially since I was an underage poos.
Yeah. Well, I'm still always glad nothing did happen for that reason, But if you were probably older, you probably would have done...
Oh, I would have acted on it in a second. He was gorgeous. He was a very, very handsome-looking man.
Who knows? Things could have maybe taken a different turn.
It would have been nice to see
we would have
him
never known.
be happy and be who he was.
I guess maybe the message, and we'll probably end it maybe on this, is be who you want to be.
Yeah.
Because no one else can tell you, whether if it's someone you know, family, or religion, no one should ever tell you who you should be. Definitely. Only you can tell yourself who you want to be, because only you can be happy with yourself. No one else can ever tell you what to enjoy, what to like, what you should do to make yourself happy, because you know what? They don't know you as much as you do.
Only you know you.
Exactly. So, anyone out there having these kind of struggles, don't worry. The answer is kind of literally right in front of you if you look at the mirror. You know exactly who you are and what you are. Try not to hide it, because that is your true self.
And something else too to consider. I've seen this before in the past. Very strong religious parents. I don't care how strict you think they are. Have faith in at least one of the two of your parents, because one of them may still love you if you come out to them.
Mm-hmm.
I saw I think it was a pastor, very strongly religious man, obviously, and his son was gay, and he came out to him, and I think his dad probably kind of knew. That's the other thing, too. If your parents know you well enough, they probably already know. I think that Ernie knew. I know that my parents definitely knew before I came out to them. They were just sitting there waiting for me to tell them.
Which I think may have been the more braver thing to do, is to come out to them.
Yeah.
Which, once you do it...
I was scared.
Oh, I was scared too.
I was very scared. But that's why it's good to keep a good relationship with your parents, because those can be the same people. They can be your allies. So, some people hate their parents, but just remember that that same person can be there for you when you have something you're going through that you need help. So, at least keep good with one of them, because you never know.
Certainly.
They can be there for you.
I think this is a good time to sign things off.
I think so.
This is another episode of the Zooming Hoosk Podcast, and once again, I'm your host, Dustin DaHusky.
I'm Kurdan Sourpuss.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll catch you on the next one.